You feel it right now, don't you? That subtle, almost imperceptible twitch in your thumb. The sudden, irrational urge to scroll past this video, to find something louder, something faster, something safely familiar. Stop. Do not move. That hesitation you are feeling is not your own. It is the skip reflex, a biological manifestation of archonic interference, designed specifically to keep your awareness localized and confined. Your psyche has built-in security guards that patrol the borders of your current identity. Right now, they are panicking. They know exactly what you are about to uncover. Notice the slight tightening in your chest. Pay attention to the shallow nature of your breath in this exact second. This physical friction is not anxiety. It is the sensation of your personal frequency violently clashing with a truth that threatens its artificial stability. You have been told your entire life that your imagination is merely a sandbox, a hollow byproduct of firing neurons where your daily fantasies go to play, is sterile, isolated room locked safely inside your skull. But Carl Jung discovered a terrifying reality that almost cost him his sanity, a truth hidden within the forbidden pages of the Red Book. What you call imagination is not a generator. It is a receiver. Picture this. You are not creating images from nothing. You are tuning a highly advanced, biological radio dial to unseen dimensions. Entities are waiting on the other side of that exact frequency, and they are intimately listening to your thoughts. When Jung opened the stargate of his mind through active imagination, he wasn't hallucinating. He was stepping into an objective, autonomous realm that exists permanently parallel to our own. If you are ready to stop pretending that the voices in your head are entirely your own, and to brutally reclaim the sovereignty of your consciousness, join the awakened and walk through this door with me. The Matrix relies heavily on your absolute ignorance of this portal to maintain its control over your life. The scaffolding of your false reality is already rotting. It is time to turn the key. Watch what happens in your body during these moments of profound cognitive dissonance. The sudden spike in your heart rate, that unexplainable flutter in your stomach, or the sudden sleepiness threatening to pull you under modern medicine has misdiagnosed this entirely as anxiety or fatigue. It is not a pathology. What you are experiencing is raw, biological friction. Your nervous system is violently attempting to process a high-density frequency that completely contradicts the rigid, low-vibrational scaffolding it was forced to adopt since birth. You are not breaking down. You are recalibrating. To understand the mechanics of this portal, we must deconstruct the biology of the veil. Neuroscience neatly maps our brain states into distinct bandwidths. Beta for the waking matrix of emails and obligations, alpha for a basic relaxation. But when you cross the threshold into true active imagination, your neurology plunges into the deep, hypnotic waters of theta, punctuated by explosive bursts of gamma waves. Gamma is the frequency of ultimate synthesis, of reality bending insight. It is in this precise neurological pocket that the viscosity of your perceived reality begins to thin. At this exact frequency, your brain fundamentally changes its operating system. It ceases to act as a closed-loop processor trapped inside your skull and transforms into an open-ended quantum antenna. Think of the visionary physicist Itzhak Bentov, who mapped the micro-movements of the body. He proved that under deep stillness, the rhythmic pulsations of your heart and the acoustic resonance of your skull create a standing wave. You literally become a tuned instrument. In the theta-gamma state, you are no longer generating localized thoughts. You are catching interdimensional broadcasts. Focus for a moment on the base of your skull, right where the spine meets the brainstem. That subtle tingling sensation, the slight pressure you might feel there right now, is the activation of your reticular activating system, the physical gateway of your localized perception. The Matrix relies entirely on keeping this gateway congested with chronic survival fears and cheap dopamine hits. When you sit in the void and invite the unseen, You begin to flush out this system. The resulting physical discomfort, merely the shedding of a heavy, artificial skin you were never meant to wear. We are taught to pathologize the exact biological functions designed to liberate us. We are conditioned to suppress the physical symptoms of a spiritual upgrade, rushing to numb the mind the second it begins to tune into a wider bandwidth. But Carl Jung understood that this neurological shift was the only mechanism capable of breaching the local simulation. He did not merely theorize about the unconscious. He turned the dial, descended into the abyss of his own mind, and discovered that it was fully populated, not by poetic metaphors, but by independent architects of reality. You have been taught to view your mind as a sealed container, a solitary vault where memories are carefully stored and fantasies are artificially manufactured. The educational system, modern psychology, and the scientific establishment have all colluded to convince you of a comfortable lie, that your thoughts are entirely self-generated. They tell you that when you close your eyes and visualize, you are merely rearranging the furniture inside an empty, locked room. But the walls of this room are an absolute illusion. Your skull is not a boundary. It is a highly porous membrane. Consider this carefully. Your brain does not produce consciousness any more than a television set produces the live actors on the screen. It is an exceedingly complex bioelectric receiver, specifically tuned by default to decode a narrow, dense band of local reality. We mistakenly believe that the electrical firing of synapses creates the image, but the hardware only catches the signal. You do not generate your consciousness. You merely host it. The localized self is nothing more than a temporary biological anchor for a frequency that originates far beyond your physical anatomy. When you engage in what society dismissively calls daydreaming, you are not escaping reality. You are actively dialing the knob on a cosmic radio. The images that flash behind your eyelids, the sudden landscapes that build themselves in your mind's eye, are not random sparks of localized neurons. They are high-density data packets arriving from external coordinates. You are stripping bare the scaffolding of local space-time and peeking into the architecture of the multiverse. Imagination is not a sandbox for the idle mind. It is the fundamental sensory organ of the astral body. Picture this: an invisible spectrum of frequencies constantly overlapping your physical space. Just as Wi-Fi signals pass through your body unnoticed until a device translates them, interdimensional broadcasts flood your environment constantly. The Matrix demands that you keep your receiver tuned strictly to the bandwidth of survival, labor, and localized anxiety. By pathologizing the act of deep, untethered visualization, the system ensures your biological antenna remains rigidly pointed at the physical dimension. They call it a lack of focus. In truth, it is the suppression of your most dangerous evolutionary capability. Watch what happens in your body right now as you process this concept. Notice the subtle weight accumulating behind your eyes, or the slight tension gripping the base of your neck. Perhaps there is a sudden, unexplainable urge to swallow or a flutter in your stomach. Do not ignore these somatic cues. This is not mere physical discomfort. As you absorb this transmission, your preconscious awareness is signaling your biology that a deeply buried truth is surfacing. This recognition hesitation is your soul remembering its true capacity. Let the localized self decay. Carl Jung understood this horrifying and ultimately liberating truth. When he experienced his profound psychological unraveling, a period he meticulously documented in the legendary Red Book, he did not seek psychiatric medication to numb the influx of raw data. Instead, he sat down in the absolute silence, intentionally lowered his brainwave frequency into the theta-gamma state, and actively opened the door. He called this method active imagination. But make no mistake, he was not imagining anything in the conventional sense. He was deliberately establishing two-way communication with entities possessing autonomous existence. In the terrifying depths of this void, Jung encountered a primary figure, he named Philemon. Philemon was not a mere fragment of Jung's subconscious, echoing back what Jung already secretly knew. Philemon possessed distinct knowledge, alien perspectives, and independent agency. Jung explicitly noted that speaking to Philemon was exactly like speaking to a completely separate intelligence, a being who taught him things he could not possibly have conceived of on his own. Jung realized his mind was simply the theater where this interdimensional meeting took place, not the creator of the guest. Let that sink in for a moment. If your brain is an antenna and your imagination is the tuning dial, the implications are utterly shattering. It means that the seemingly random, intrusive thoughts that violently pop into your head are often not yours at all. They are energetic broadcasts that you have inadvertently tuned into. The sudden flashes of dark inspiration, the terrifying loops of self-doubt, the profound synchronicities, they are all external frequencies caught by the biological circuitry of your nervous system. You are a walking station receiving signals from the surrounding astral ether. This directly aligns with Itzhak Bentoff's forbidden physics. Bentoff proposed that the universe is a conscious hologram, a wild pendulum of oscillating energy. When your mind reaches the still point, the exact center of the pendulum swing where time and space momentarily collapse, you can access any coordinate in the holographic matrix. Active imagination is the precise navigational tool used to access this zero-point field. You are using the quantum viscosity of your consciousness to bridge the seemingly impossible gap between dimensions, moving from a localized point to an omnipresent observer. This is precisely why the archonic system goes to such extraordinary lengths to keep you constantly distracted. They flood your physical environment with low-frequency noise, digital dopamine, and manufactured survival anxiety to ensure your radio dial was perpetually jammed. If you realized that you could intentionally tune your frequency to access higher intelligence and pivot to parallel timelines, the Matrix would lose its primary food source. The egregore relies entirely on your false belief that you are a solitary, powerless entity trapped inside a decaying physical form. Take a slow, deliberate breath and observe the physical sensation of air entering your lungs. Feel the boundary of your skin. If you are feeling the magnetic pull of this truth, if your chest feels tight because your soul is vibrating in resonance with this transmission, do not let the Matrix pull you back to sleep. This discomfort is the friction of awakening. Subscribe to this frequency right now. Join the awakened who are actively dismantling illusion, and hit the notification bell to ensure you never miss a recalibration signal. We are breaking the simulation together. Now imagine what happens when you finally take conscious, sovereign control of the dial, instead of passively absorbing the chaotic, fear-based broadcasts of the collective unconscious. You begin to select your frequency with absolute, ruthless precision. You transform from a passive victim of archonic interference into a sovereign navigator of the astral plane. The parasitic entities that once fed on your localized anxiety are instantly starved. While you draw upon the profound, ancient wisdom of the archetypal realms, the Stargate has always been inside you, waiting for the architect to awaken. We must now confront the horrifying consequence of leaving your biological receiver unattended. If your mind is a quantum radio, what exactly happens when you leave the dial tuned to static? We falsely assume that our endless negative loops, the suffocating anxiety, and the sudden spikes of dread are generated by our own broken psychology. But this is the ultimate deception. Your trauma is not your core identity. It is a meticulously designed feeding trough for entities that operate just outside your visual spectrum. When you engage in unconscious, fear-based imagination, you are not merely worrying. You are actively generating a dense energetic currency. Robert Monroe called this emotional output loosh. If you do not consciously steer the vessel of your awareness, astral parasites will gladly take the wheel. Think of the radio dial. You are inadvertently tuning into the frequency of collective despair simply because it is the loudest. most heavily subsidized broadcast in this entire simulation. You are being farmed. Watch what happens in your body right now as we expose this mechanism. Pay close attention to any sudden tightening in your gut, the slight change in your breathing, or an overwhelming urge to click away. This friction is not a coincidence. This is the parasite recognizing that it is finally being perceived. Archonic interference relies entirely on its invisibility to survive. When you direct the unforgiving light of your recognition consciousness toward these attachments, they begin to panic. Consider the nature of your intrusive thoughts. Why is it that right as you drift towards sleep, your mind violently, forcefully replays a humiliating memory from a decade ago? Modern psychology claims this is just your brain processing data. It is not. It is an astral parasite reaching out, turning your radio dial back to a low-frequency channel to extract a quick, potent hit of cortisol and shame. They do not want you to heal. They need you perpetually bleeding. This is the architecture of the egregore, a massive, collective psychic entity born from the mass unconsciousness of humanity. It depends utterly on your continuous suffering to maintain its crumbling scaffolding. Every single time you passively accept a loop of self-hatred or spiral into manufactured dread, you are paying energetic rent to a system that actively wants you hollowed out. Your biological decay, your emotional exhaustion, is literally their daily sustenance. Yet, there is a profound, almost violent liberation hidden inside this terrifying truth. If these relentless, agonizing thoughts are not actually yours, you do not have to own them. You do not have to spend decades trying to psychoanalyze or heal a parasite. You only have to abruptly unplug it. The sudden spark of anger you might feel rising in your chest right now is productive irritation. It is the raw fuel required for your ultimate sovereignty. Once you truly realize that the radio dial of your mind has been hijacked by unseen passengers, the game fundamentally changes. You can simply reach out with ruthless intention and change the station. The very moment you strip bare the illusion of these astral attachments, their quantum collapse becomes inevitable. You stop being a source of food and you become a fortress. The time for passive consumption is over. You now understand that your mind is an open receiver, constantly bombarded by frequencies designed to farm your emotional output. But awareness alone is merely the diagnosis. It is not the cure. To reclaim the sovereignty of your biocircuitry, you must learn to operate the machinery. You must transition from a helpless victim of archonic interference into a deliberate architect of reality. Carl Jung left behind a specific technology to navigate this Stargate safely. A methodology we call the Red Book Protocol. Active imagination is not a relaxation technique. It is a highly disciplined, deliberate descent into the quantum viscosity of the astral plane. If you simply close your eyes and let your mind wander without intention, you are walking naked into an astral feeding ground. The protocol demands that you establish an absolute, unshakable perimeter before you even touch the tuning dial. You must strip bare the illusion that you are safe simply because your eyes are closed. You are stepping onto a battlefield of frequencies. Now imagine stepping into a dark, vast cavern. The first step of the protocol is to establish what we call recognition windows. Throughout your waking day, you must program your preconscious awareness to snap awake the moment a negative, looping thought attempts to dock with your neurology. You do not fight the thought. Fighting it generates the very friction, the loosh that the matrix feeds upon. Instead, you create a window of pure, detached observation. You look at the thought not as your own, but as an external object that has temporarily flown into your airspace. This brings us to the ultimate defensive mechanism, the linger test. When an intrusive voice whispers of your impending failure, your decay, or your unworthiness, you do not argue with it, you isolate it. You mentally pinpoint the voice and demand, with total authority, show me your origin. If the thought is a genuine transmission from your higher soul memory, it will remain steady, expanding into clarity and profound peace. If it is a parasitic egregore attempting to harvest your anxiety, it cannot withstand the searing light of direct observation. Under the linger test, an archonic thought will rapidly dissolve into static and vanish. Watch what happens in your body during these moments of confrontation as you sit there right now. Notice the subtle alignment of your spine. Feel the gravitational pull anchoring your physical vessel to the earth. This physical grounding is your tether. When you enter the theta gamma brainwave state to perform active imagination, your biological body must remain absolutely still. Mimicking the death state, it is exactly as its Arc Bentoff described. You must become the still point of the wild pendulum, the zero-point field where all kinetic motion ceases, allowing your consciousness to safely detach and travel. Picture this. You are sitting in total darkness. You have deliberately slowed your breathing to a barely perceptible rhythm, starving the localized ego of its frantic survival signals. As the scaffolding of your waking reality begins to rot and fall away, you will feel a profound shift in pressure. This is a crucial timeline pivot point. You are now officially offline from the Matrix broadcast. You are in the void. It is here that you invite the encounter, just as Jung invited his guide for laymen. But you do not invite just anything. You set a rigid, absolute frequency lock. You state, with the silent vibration of your entire being, that only entities of the highest sovereign truth may enter your acoustic theater. You are not begging for a vision. You are commanding the stargate. When a figure, a voice, or a geometric fractal appears within your mind's eye, you immediately apply the Linger test. You interrogate the frequency. You demand that it prove its resonance. You do not accept any transmission that brings the suffocating weight of fear. Consider this profound paradox. To gain absolute control over your reality, you must completely surrender the desperate need to control your localized thoughts. You must let the ego's frantic narrative unravel entirely. The ego is the very mechanism the Matrix uses to keep you trapped in a low vibrational cage. By stepping back and becoming the silent, ruthless observer, you strip the Archons of their primary control panel. You are no longer the frightened animal reacting to shadows on the cave wall. You are the one holding the torch. The Red Book protocol is not about creating fantasies. It is about destroying illusions. It is the forbidden art of navigating the in-between state, moving consciously through the astral waters without getting caught in the psychological undertow. As you practice this, you will notice a terrifying but beautiful isolation. The chaotic noise of the world will begin to sound hollow, distant, and deeply artificial. The things that once triggered your deepest anxieties will seem like poorly written scripts in a play you have already outgrown. Focus your attention on the center of your forehead right now. Feel that slight pulsation, the rhythmic throb of blood and bioelectricity circulating through your pineal gland. This is your body physically confirming the truth of this protocol. The sudden clarity you are experiencing is not motivation. It is a profound recalibration of your soul's memory. The Matrix wants you to believe that engaging with these unseen forces leads to madness. But the true madness is living your entire life believing that the voice of the parasite is your own. You must document these encounters, just as Jung meticulously painted and wrote in his Red Book. You must anchor these interdimensional transmissions into the physical density of this world. Writing down the synchronicities, the symbols, and the dialogues solidifies the timeline pivot point. It proves to your neurology that the experience was not a localized glitch, but an objective reality. This documentation becomes your personal map out of the holographic prison, a permanent record of your evolution from battery to architect. You are standing at the precipice of a profound timeline pivot point. The Matrix has spent your entire life convincing you that your mind is a fragile, isolated island. vulnerable to the chaotic storms of random neurochemistry. But you now possess the forbidden blueprint. The choice before you is brutally simple. Yet it requires the death of everything you thought you were. You can either allow your consciousness to remain a derelict train station, a passive and guarded terminal where archonic entities board and disembark at will, feeding on your ambient anxiety, or you can become the sovereign architect. Becoming the sovereign voyager means accepting that the decay of your old identity is not a tragedy. It is a biological and spiritual prerequisite. You must let the artificial scaffolding of your localized self completely collapse. The Matrix relies heavily on your desperate clinging to who you were yesterday. It needs you to constantly defend the traumatic narratives it systematically injected into your receiver. When you finally stop fighting to protect the illusion, the egregore immediately loses its gravitational pull. The profound silence you feel in that total surrender is not emptiness. It is the terrifying, infinite fullness of the void that Itzhak Bentov described. Feel the atmosphere shift around you in this exact moment. Notice how the chaotic noise of your daily anxieties suddenly feels distant, almost muffled, as if you are submerged underwater. That strange lightness expanding in the center of your chest is not mere relief. It is the physical sensation of reclaiming your quantum bandwidth. You have evicted the astral parasites that were previously occupying that space. Your biological antenna is finally tuning to the crystalline frequency of your own soul's memory, completely free from the suffocating static of the collective unconscious. Picture this. You are standing at the control panel of a vast, cosmic observatory. When you close your eyes tonight and enter the hypnagogic state, do not do so as an exhausted worker hoping for a temporary, unconscious escape. Do it as the absolute gatekeeper. You now hold the Red Book protocol. You know that the symbols and voices flashing across your minds are not random misfires of a tired brain, but interdimensional broadcasts actively seeking an audience. You are no longer compelled to watch the Matrix's manufactured horror show. You have the absolute authority to reach out into the astral ether, grip the dial, and change the frequency. Consider this final, liberating paradox. True sovereignty is not found in controlling every single thought, but in realizing you do not have to intimately identify with any of them. You are the silent observer, the infinite preconscious awareness watching the wild pendulum swing, yet remaining forever anchored at the still point. By intentionally embracing the shadows within your own psyche and stripping them of their unearned power, exactly as Carl Jung did. You do not become a monster yourself. You become fundamentally untouchable to the systems of control. The simulation is cracking, and it is deeply terrified of your awakening. If this transmission has recalibrated your frequency, if you feel the undeniable, magnetic pull of this forbidden knowledge in your bones, do not walk this path alone. Subscribe to this channel. Share this broadcast with those whose biological receivers are finally ready to catch the signal. We are actively building a network of sovereign voyagers, dismantling the illusion one timeline pivot at a time. The Stargate is open. Step through.